guys, it's Leanne Scott here from Move Smarter, and let's get into a pain reduction, better balance foot lesson. So today's lesson is going to be a little bit different, but done still with brain plastic theory. I truly believe that the reason some people have foot, knee, and hip pain, but mostly focusing on the foot today, and those same people often struggle with balance, timing, coordination, reversibility, etc. I believe that is because there is less of a map, or the map is a little foggy between the foot and the brain. You want a clear, defined messaging route from your brain to your feet that says, oh, you need to be a little more on the pinky toe when you walk, when you lean in that direction. Oh, your heel needs to engage more, or the inside heel. Remember, the foot is a complex, masterful bits of many, many different bones and many, many different joints working as a team. And if that messaging is foggy or unclear, it just becomes to be a bit of a stump. And that's going to lead to not only pain, and pain all the way up the body, but it's also going to lead to not as user-friendly of a foot. You won't be able to, like I say, climb up the stair and then reverse quickly if you need to. And it's these types of exercises that helps that. So let's get right at it. Today's lesson can be done either with a rolled up tube sock or a rolled up sock, or a slightly squishy ball. Not too squishy, but not rock hard, because you want to get some feedback and some movement. Or it can be done in a combination of both, and I think that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to do a one-sided lesson, so pick a leg, the leg that feels the best, that's more available to learn, because that's what we're doing here today, and use that leg all the way through. If you'd like, tomorrow or even later tonight or tomorrow, you can do the other side as well, but it's really good from a brain plastic perspective to actually leave yourself kind of lopsided. Leave a lot of information on this side and not so much on that side, so the brain can tell the difference and notice the difference in function throughout your day, and then your brain will implement that onto the other side. So very, very simple to begin with. Just start by feeling your feet. If you haven't slid forward or sitting closer to the front of the chair, please do that now, because this is going to be different for your feet and how they're making contact with the floor than this is. So slide yourself to the front of the chair, feet and knees comfortably spread, and feel how your feet are making contact with the floor now. There will be a difference. We are not symmetrical, but you might have to dig a little bit for the difference. You might have to feel like, are all 5 toes? Can you feel all 5 individual toes? If not, no worries. Don't press down, just notice. Notice the difference between, say, how the left heel is making contact with the floor versus the right heel. Don't make any adjustments, just notice the differences as they are. And then you can also check in our rest throughout the lesson to see if those have changed. One student I taught this to said that she noticed that one of her big toes was slightly lifted in the first check, and after the very first variation, she noticed that toe had gone down without her forcing. So that was a huge notice. So little things like that. Pick up any differences. Variation number 1. For the first one, I am going to use the ball, and I'm going to place the ball not just in the arch of the foot on the floor, but in more of the back of the arch. So right underneath that bone that sticks out in your heel goes straight down. So it's on the back of the arch, the front of the heel. That's kind of where we're playing today. And I'm sorry I have to back up, but you have to see my feet. So we're going to place that there. And if you lose the ball, that's okay. No panic, just bring it back. And all I want you to do is, with it starting in that placement, I want you to move the ball around the outside border of the foot, as an example, to the toes, to the inside border, maybe go side to side. Rest whenever you need to. Don't hold yourself tight. Let yourself roll back when you roll the ball back. Let yourself roll forward. Notice my foot isn't lifted really high. You're just going to roll through the toes. You're really mapping your foot back into the brain by using the connection between the ball, the floor, and your foot. Do that for a little while, and then just stop, put the foot down, and feel the difference already between the foot that you used and the foot that you didn't. Now, side note, if you don't feel that much difference, that's okay. If you're new at this, that's fine. It's about learning. You're going to get better at noticing the differences the more you do this kind of work. For the people that do feel a difference, it doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be drastic, just feels somehow different, maybe feels a little more connected to the floor. That's brain plasticity at work. So I'm actually going to move on to the sock for this one. Well, no, I'll do one more. So variation number 2 is start again in the placement of that arch, and this time you're going to think differently, because when you think differently, your brain gathers different information. So instead of thinking of rolling the ball around your foot, I want you to think of your body rolling the ball. I'm going to back up a bit so my leg doesn't go out. So you're moving your leg, and you can put your hand here if it helps. Notice how my whole body is moving with the ball. And I want you to notice, I'm going to move this back a little bit, and I want you to notice, is it different when you think of moving the ball than when you think of what you're feeling the foot? You can even go back onto the top part of the foot. You're really moving it around. So you're just thinking slightly different. Last variation, I was thinking a lot of the foot. Now I'm thinking of moving the ball. And what do I have to do differently with myself in order to move the ball with my foot? Again, if you lose the ball, no worries, just move it back. Just a minute or so of that. Put the foot down, and again, might be a slight difference, but notice any differences with just a different idea in your brain of what you were doing. Rest. And now I am going to move on to the sock, because I find the sock a little more not so crazy and doesn't fly away. Gives a little bit of different information, different feedback. You're going to place that sock again right in that spot, right underneath the heel bone, the ankle bone, pardon me. And all you're going to do is you're going to lift the foot very small. You can put your hand here if that helps. You're not going to crane and pick up the leg with the arms. That's not what we're doing. In fact, you could even notice that I'm going to show you, just so you don't sort of hurt yourself. I'm going to roll back. And that's what's going to help lift the leg, lift the femur. And I soften the chest and the head comes forward, so I'm counterbalancing. Notice I can talk the whole time I'm holding this leg up. Whereas if I stood up tall and just lifted it right in the joint, you can hear it in my voice right away. I start to not. You're not breathing, you're not tight. It's not like you're doing exercise then, you're not doing functional movement. You're gonna roll back and the foot will come off ever so slightly. It doesn't, if you're really new at this, the heel may just come off, and that's fine too. But if you roll back and then you're going to plunk it, but when you plunk it, here's where it gets interesting. When you plunk it, you want to say to yourself beforehand, plunk it on the heel, or plunk it on the ball of the foot, or plunk it onto the sock on the toes, or plunk it on the outside border or inside border. You're going to give yourself a direction and see if your brain can complete that direction. This is very good for then you having a very clear map when you go to say walk up the stairs. You can say center of the stair, full foot, and it will actually go there. That's the map we're trying to clear up. So as an example, roll back, I'm going to say heel, and I landed on my heel. Roll back, toes, and notice I do a little something different with my body when I know I have to put my toes on versus my heel, and I'm exaggerating this a bit so you can see it, but I'm not working or strengthening, I'm connecting. The message of I want my inside ball of my foot to go on the edge of that sock. So inside ball. Yes, inside ball of the big toe. I want to do the outer border of the ball of the foot, the outer border of the heel of the foot. I get really specific with details. And when I just play and say to myself, that's where I want to hit. Notice where you did hit and notice where you were like, nope, didn't hit at all. And do that just for this length of time, even less, because I wanted to show you a bunch of different variations in that. But stop. And again, notice the differences. This exercise is very key to noticing changes. It really helps you improve if you do this. So don't skip the rest. Notice the difference between this foot and how it's making contact with the floor, how this side feels. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so I'm gonna do that. Notice if the jaw has maybe dropped or the shoulder has dropped, or if there's just a nicer feeling. Another good notice, I used to say this to my clients all the time, if an animal was coming at you straight in the center, would you use the leg you've been working on, or would you use the leg that you haven't been working on? And if you would use the leg you have been working on, some people say, well, that's my dominant leg. Stay away from that as much as you can with brain plasticity. Just stay within the lesson. If this is the leg that feels better, if there's less gripping with the toes, but somehow it feels more solid into the floor, that's what you're looking for. You want these to feel very, very, very different. And we're just going to do one more. And I'm going to put this back in and put it, sorry, I'm going to make this a little fatter and less skinny, less long, more round. And I'm going to put that in that spot again, that's directly under the bone, the back of the arch, the front of the heel. And then I'm going to, with my imagination and with my body, I'm going to stay loose, don't tighten up and straight forward. If you need to reach far, if it even feels too hard to reach your knee, then don't reach your knee. Or, because this is fine, this is also works, you're going to lean into your leg, and it also works leaning into your leg here. Or you can let the belly out and lift with that chest, and that will allow your arms, arch your back and allow your arms to come forward. That's just a little side bonus tip. But like I said, if you can only reach here in comfort without stretching, then do this. Because if you're stretching, it's not going to learn as much. You're not going to get as clean a force. And you're going to lean down and see if you can feel the force of gravity, there will be force of gravity coming back up, but the force that you're pushing through into the floor, into your foot. Or do you just feel yourself pushing on? Or do you feel, you can even imagine a colorful line dropping down to highlight it for the brain. You can't even take it out for just a second, because sometimes that cushioning might be too much. Push in and see, do you feel force going all the way down? By the way, this is excellent for knee alignment because you're really connecting the knee to the foot from a brain plastic standpoint. You're saying these two are a team. If you can feel force going through without the sock or with, notice where you feel it the most. Because the foot, again, is not one big piece. It's a whole bunch of individual pieces. So do you feel it more through the heel into the ground? Or do you feel it more in the front foot or into the ground, or the toes into the ground? Notice. And for those of you who feel it in the heel, that's great. Feel free to let go. See if you can feel that colored line that you shot down coming back up. That's very good brain plastic connection work. For those of you that don't feel with the heel, picture it. Teach yourself that you want to feel from the push, the colored line, the force going boom through the heel. You can literally make yourself think of it because you're teaching yourself with imagery, with feeling. And then let go. Take the sock out. Feel the feet now. Feel how they're making contact. Feel how they feel. Feel if they feel more connected. Feel if you prefer this leg versus that leg. And say that to yourself, because the brain will go, oh, we like that better. That does work better. Let's do that more. And you'll have more and more and more connectivity between the brain and the foot throughout the day as you put it into function. There's one more little bonus thing that you could do if you wanted. You could take the heel out as an example, let that knee drop in, because you don't want to do this business, because we don't ever walk an isolated movement. We don't ever play in the world with an isolated movement. Take the heel, I'm exaggerating it, does not have to go this far, just a little bit. Push it through there. See if you can get that force going through there. Let the knee drop in a little bit. Let the leg be on the angle that it would be if you were playing. Let the heel in. Make sure you're pushing cleanly, not pushing out here, but cleanly from the top. And the reason I do this, you can do it in a bunch of different variations, is because we move in different variations. And I believe that your exercise should translate very clearly into daily functional movement. We all don't just walk straight ahead. So this kind of tiny variations, almost like on a sundial or compass, is really, really good for your information. You can move your toes as well, but keeping that force going through the heel. Play with that for a while, and then again, this will be the end. Just notice and sit, and really try to think back to how your foot felt in the very first notice, and see if there's a big difference. And notice if it goes up the leg farther, even up to the body. And remember, if you're learning, if you're new to this work, you're not going to have as many available notices generally as some people that has been doing this work for longer, so don't get down on yourself. I will say that if a lion came straight here, I'd be going that way. There's no question. I feel better connection, more of an abilities connection through this foot than I do with this foot. This foot feels kind of like it's going off in la la land. Last thing I'll do, even though I will probably go to frame, is I'll ask you to stand. And I will go out of frame. So I might as well come forward so you can see me more. Notice what it's like to stand with this leg versus standing with this leg. And that is usually a very big noticing. This leg feels like it's just more masterful. It feels like there's more. I'm smarter on this leg than I am on this leg. Notice the difference throughout the day as you go. Notice if you go to climb a stair, if the leg that you worked on is just more available, it's just cooler, just better. It has more going for it. And if you notice that, say, I love that. Oh, I really love that. And that's the kind of stuff that the brain will hold on to. If you notice, with brain plastic movement and theory, we know that if you notice throughout the day in functional movement that the thing you exercised is working better, and you mention it to yourself and you acknowledge it, it will last longer and those changes will grow faster than if you just disregard it and say, oh, it can't be that silly little sock exercise we did. So that is today's lesson. I hope you really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not a traditional exercise. It is more of an awareing connection between the brain and the foot through gentle, safe, in-sitting brain plastic variations that will create a better map for your foot to be able to go throughout the day. And like I said, if you'd like to do this exercise on the other foot tomorrow, that's fine too. Absolutely do it and notice the differences between the two sides. That's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this type of work, please like, subscribe, turn on the notification button, drop the hype button. There's a little hype that'll sometimes come across for YouTube. Give us a hype. Follow us if I haven't said it already. Tell your friends. Just anything that you could do to help support a channel that you enjoy, we'd very much appreciate it. And if you like this kind of work, I will link another video with the same ideas, the same brain plastic theory, in sitting, safe exercises that you can check out next. Anyway, that's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this, guys, and we'll see you next week. And remember, move smarter, not harder. Bye.